Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Trenton Borum, Director of Student Services at Speedway High School. I would like to formally welcome you to our annual Top 10 ceremony where we honor and recognize our top 10 students in the class of 2022, as well as their most influential educator. This ceremony is unique in that it enables us to acknowledge both students and teachers and highlight the enduring bond shared between scholars and their teachers. Before we begin, I would like to recognize and thank the Lions Club for sponsoring this wonderful event. The fine people of Aramark for this deliciously prepared meal. Please give those, oh, they're not back here. I was going to ask to give them a round of applause. I would also like to thank our esteemed members of our School Board of Trustees. If you are present, please stand as I say your name. School Board President William Hutching, Vice President Mr. Luke Bickle, School Board Secretary Mr. Thomas Smith, School Board Member Deborah Gonzalez, and School Board Member Mrs. Laura DeGay. Thank you. You may be seated. I would also like to recognize our central office, Assistant Superintendent Mr. John Disney, Superintendent Dr. Kyle Trebley. I'm sorry, Mr. Disney is not here. I would also like to recognize people from our high school, our Assistant Principal, Mr. Nathan Day, and our Principal, Mr. J.P. Claiborne. From the School Counseling Department, I would like to recognize Counselor Mr. Chuck Bennett and Counselor Ms. Misty Davenport. A special thanks to Ms. Davenport, as without her hard work and planning, tonight's program would not be possible. Thank you again, Ms. Davenport. If you are a parent of one of tonight's honorees, I ask that you please stand at this time. This evening is always one of the best times of the year. And while this ceremony allows our school community to recognize and honor both amazing students and their phenomenal teachers, I also would like to recognize and thank the parents for your unwavering love and support in helping your student achieve such great academic success. Round of applause for the parents. Lastly, I ask our top 10 students to please stand. Your hard work over the last 4 years has come to full fruition. I want to say thank you for your dedication, commitment, and service leadership to our school community. This is only the beginning of a lifetime of achievements and accolades. You may be seated. Well, we know we've been through a lot the last few years, but I would like us to really cherish this evening together as our top 10 students acknowledge their most influential educator. This is a time for celebration, reflection, and recognition. I invite Mr. Andrew Dorton to bless us with the invocation for this evening.
Will you please join me and bow your heads? God of grace and mercy, we thank you for this moment, a moment together as a family of scholars, a moment to give thanks to the excellent work of our parents, teachers, and administrators, a moment to recognize the accomplishments of these dedicated and gifted young students, a moment to celebrate what we've been called to do, to teach, to learn, to become one in your world as we prepare ourselves for the mission of living our lives as men and women for others. Finally, we would like to acknowledge that you are the giver of every good gift. All is yours and all has been generously given to us. Indeed, this is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad. Amen.
Thank you, Andrew. Without further ado, we will begin our presentations. We will be starting from rank order number 10 and concluding with number 1. I would like to welcome to the podium Mr. Reese Walker. Reese. Reese plans to attend Marion University, where he will major in mechanical engineering and play football. The esteemed educator that he is recognizing as his most influential educator this evening is Mr. Shane Clampett, social studies teacher and coach at Speedway High School. Welcome, Reese and Mr. Clampett.
All right. All in. Throughout my high school career, I've always been around Coach Clampett, teaching me in AP US history, coaching me in basketball and football, but growing up in Speedway, Clampett has not only made an impact on me, but many people throughout the community. He was our elementary computer teacher, our junior high history teacher, and our sophomore year AP US history teacher. As I've grown up into a young adult I'm becoming today, I've also watched Coach Clampett grow as well. His lasting impact on me and as a person and athlete are something I will carry on throughout my entire life. I'm proud of watching us, both of us, grow in our small community. This year I was blessed to be able to have him as my head football coach, something I always knew was a goal he wanted to achieve, especially here in his hometown. Clampett has inspired me to work for what I want and that your efforts do pay off, as he has ascended the coaching ladder since beginning his first job here at Speedway. His efforts have shown with helping me not only academically and athletically in high school, but also helping me continue playing football and going to school on the collegiate level. He's also given he has also given his all to help me and believe in me and what I'm capable of doing in my future life as a whole. Even though my sophomore year I did not end up passing the AP US history exam, which I thought was a little rigged and might not agreed with, Clampett was right there with us trying to get as many kids to pass as possible. With only his second year teaching A-Push, Clampett was still learning himself how to teach U.S. history. But you could tell his passion to teach really motivated him to become a better teacher. That motivation and energy that he brought every class period made each and every class enjoyable and honestly gave me motivation myself. That same energy that I saw in Coach Clampett on the field and on the court, I saw in the classroom. And I thought his strive to come up with new ways or activities to become a better teacher was pretty influential. Now, most people in the audience tonight are confused why I titled my speech All In, and probably just assumed it was just an inspirational saying that concludes an inspiring work ethic, but no. Coach Clampett started the saying of All In during the summer of his first year as head coach. That became his and our motto throughout the whole season. No one that I know has truly represented what he stands for more than him. His care and compassion for the game as well as his team showed up each and every day. He helped me when I was hard on myself after certain games, troubled in my personal life, or just playing out my future. Coach Clampett has truly been one of the biggest impacts on my life and my future. Aside from family, he's the sole person I know that wants me to succeed while doing what I love. And for that, I'm forever grateful for him and all he has provided me. Thank you.
I'm going to try not to get emotional, but I'm really lucky to be here, to be at Speedway and work with the administrators that I work with, the great teachers that I work with. They make me want to be better every day. But my number one goal was to not let kids down. And it was important for me to be the best I could be for kids like Reese. In the classroom and on the field, I knew that he was going to do everything he could do to be successful. So guys like him make me want to be a better person, a better teacher, a better coach. Guys like him are the reason why I wake up every day. I'm excited not to go to work, but to go to school. And guys like him aren't going to be replaced. Not on the football field, not in the hallways, because he's special. He's truly, truly special. The teachers that have had him know that. The coaches that have coached him know that. I don't think there's going to be another Reese Walker walk through this high school. To do what he's done, to be the teammate he's been, to be the brother and son he is, I couldn't be more proud. I think the world of him. I love him. I don't say that very often, but I do. I love you. And I hope that he comes around and stays in contact. I know he will. And I look forward to seeing the man he's going to become. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Reese, for those inspirational words, and thank you, Coach Clampett, for all that you do for our students. Next, we have number 9 in our class, Ms. Jordan Davis. After recently learning of her acceptance to Notre Dame University, Jordan is deciding between Notre Dame and Purdue University. Her major is undecided. Jordan's honoree for her most influential educator is Ms. Lori Lamb, elementary teacher for Speedway Schools. You guys are welcome to come up.
Once I was 7 years old. I was 7 years old when I walked into Mrs. Lamb's class for the first day of second grade. If you told me, now 18 years old, I would be standing next to her celebrating both the impact of my life and the academic accomplishments I've had, I would have said you were crazy. Well, at least about the academic part. The second you walked into her classroom, there was an aura that made you feel wanted and like you belonged. I felt it every time I walked into her class. Although I knew of Mrs. Lamb prior to being in her class because my older sister Jasmine had her as a teacher, I didn't expect her to become as influential in my life as she has become and still is now. I shouldn't have been surprised because that's just who she is. She's a teacher, a mentor, and a mother. I actually had Mrs. Lamb as a teacher for both second and third grade. She was the teacher I needed to grow into the student I am today. She created the building blocks that grew my love for learning, reading, pondering math, and wondering the cause and effect of science. Although my love for science has not followed me to where I am now, I do know a special trick on how to multiply the factor of 9 on my fingers. And let me tell you, in second grade, that was pretty impressive. Mrs. Lamb wasn't just a supportive and charismatic teacher, she was a beacon of love and learning. Even the least well-behaved students knew that no matter what, Mrs. Lamb was in their corner, rooting for them. I would like to say I wasn't a very disobedient student, but I remember the time Mrs. Lamb made me change my card. I cried. Not many teachers, especially ones that you had in early elementary school, would probably remember your birthday, show up on your porch with a Christmas gift, or come out on your senior night and watch you play the sport you love. I somehow am lucky enough to have been able to grow that relationship with her and know that no matter what time of day, she's only a call away. No one I know is as devoted to the people around them as Mrs. Lamb. I don't know how she does it. I mentioned earlier that she moved up with my class from second to third grade. I wish she would have kept moving up with me, even now. After my classmates and I finished 2 years with Mrs. Lamb, the idea of moving into the big kid side of the school was terrifying. So it's safe to say that I visited her and her class more than I probably should have. One other thing I'll always remember is the summer after third grade, Mrs. Lamb welcomed all of these rambunctious 8 and 9-year-olds into her own house to host a cookout and have one last hurrah together. It's safe to say that is something I will never forget. I remember joining this bubble team in elementary school. If you know me, English and spelling isn't my cup of tea. I'm definitely more of a math nerd. But take a guess on who the coach was. I obviously had to do it. Although I don't remember many, if any times I've been mad at Mrs. Lamb, the day I walked into spelling practice and she told me aardvark had 2 A's at the beginning, I almost lost it. If it wasn't for the undevoted kindness and obligation Mrs. Lamb has always had for her students, I personally know I wouldn't have had the drive to try my hardest and always do my best. Looking back at it, I don't think I tried as hard as I did for my own achievements. I think I just wanted her to be proud of me. I am awestruck when I think that it was over 10 years ago since Mrs. Lamb was my teacher. The impact she's had on me makes me feel like it was yesterday. The most amazing part is I know I'm not her only student that continues to feel this way about her. Mrs. Lamb is the mother to kids on her own, and I'm beyond grateful I walked into her classroom and felt the love she radiated from that day forward. But no matter how many times you tell me to, I refuse to call you Lori. You will always be my teacher.
Well, I knew Jordan was going someplace in second grade, for sure. She's been amazing all along. She was dedicated. She had the kindest heart, always had the kindest heart. She made teaching fun every single day. And I can't say enough good things about her. I just know one thing, I will always be a fan of Jordan Ann.
Thank you, Jordan and Ms. Lamb. 10 years later, and it's still the impact of her elementary teacher. Just amazing. Our next student that we'll be honoring tonight is Mr. Andrew Dorton. Andrew is number 8 in his class, and Andrew plans to attend Butler University in the fall and plans to major in music education. His most influential educator is Mrs. Amy Moe.
My inspiration. The first time I saw Mrs. Moe, I was in the 8th grade, and it was the last period of the day, band. I was acting like the crazy kid I still am. I was bouncing around in my chair, being obnoxious and loud, and I immediately noticed that she was different than any other teacher I had ever had, as she sat down with the different sections and played music with us. Instantly, I felt a more personal connection with Mrs. Moe than I had with any other teacher. According to Mrs. Moe, band was my favorite class and is the only thing I look forward to all day. I don't remember saying that, but I believe it. Since band was my favorite class, I naturally had to join the band in high school. Band is one of the biggest commitments, both in time and energy, you can participate in during high school. We practice for around 20 hours a week most of the summer, and for 2 weeks we spend about 50 hours at band practice and competitions, and that's just during the summer. It's a lot of time, so naturally I spend more time with Mrs. Moe than I did with my own family. Spending more time with a teacher than your own family can be either terrible or great. I think it turned out pretty well, or else I wouldn't be talking right now. Mrs. Moe has most definitely been one of the most impactful people in my life. She has taught me many things inside and outside of music and has always helped me accomplish my goals. Whenever I accomplish something in music, sports, academics, or just life in general, she is almost always the first person to congratulate me. This has definitely helped my confidence and my self-esteem, and I do not take it for granted. When I was selected for the All-State Band, she was the first person to congratulate me. Anytime I improve in my musicianship or my playing abilities, she's always the first person to tell me that she noticed a difference. When I got accepted into different colleges, she was almost always one of the first people to congratulate me for that too. This is something that really touched me, as she actually took time out of her day to make sure she knew what her students were doing and to congratulate them. Taking the time out of her day to do this really shows how committed she is to her students and how she has a personal connection with each of them. For me, Mrs. Moe kind of acts as another parent. She gets mad at me for always trying to make her laugh and get off topic in class. She encourages me to do extracurriculars outside of band. She offers life advice, and she helps me with all things music. Helping me with music is very important because neither of my parents have any musical ability. Sorry guys, but it's true. Mrs. Moe helps guide me and many of her students to become great musicians every year. Just this year, we had 11 students earn gold at the State Solo and Ensemble event, and the band earned its highest place ever during the State Fair Band Day. She's an incredible teacher that connects with and helps every student individually in order to make them the best people and musicians they can be. One of my favorite memories I have of Mrs. Moe occurred this year after we put on the best performance we possibly could at the State Fair Band Day competition. I was hugging all my friends, my fellow seniors, crying after hundreds of hours of work for that little 7-minute performance. And I can still see Mrs. Moe crying and hugging every single senior or graduate student, telling them how great they are and how much she's going to miss them as people, not just as students or musicians. Mrs. Moe was able to be the best teacher we could ever ask for and one of our best friends at the same time. She knows us all at an individual level, like a coach or a parent would, and because of this, we are all able to perform our best, as she can help any student and bring the best out of them. Some people find important figures and role models through coaches, friends, or family, and those role models can oftentimes be the most influential people in their lives. For me, I found that to be the greatest teacher I know, the teacher that knows her kids inside and out, the teacher that is willing to talk to you about whatever is going on in your life, the woman that respects and values the opinions of her students, the woman that makes all of her students feel loved when everything else in their life could be falling apart. She brings us together through the one language anyone can understand, music. She has inspired me to pursue teaching and try to be half as great as she is. She's the kindest and most caring soul I've ever met, and she has changed my view of education forever. Oh, she dropped the tissue.
This was smart. That was smart having that here. Thank you. AJ. AJ takes more classes of mine than probably any other student. He's in choir, band, jazz band. He does the optional choir before school. He does all the extra activities that he could do. He is the best. He's the best. Last year when I was out for maternity leave and we had COVID going on, I truly believe that he is one of the main reasons why my music department kept going. He kept everyone playing every day. Even when there wasn't a sub there sometimes, he kept them playing. He inspired the rest of the kids to keep playing and want to play and have fun. And I'm so truly thankful to you for that. And I know you're going to be an amazing music teacher someday. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew, and thank you, Mrs. Moe. We'll be sure to keep this tissue here. Hopefully I don't begin crying soon, but thank you. Our next student that we will recognize is Carol Diaz. Carol is number 7 in her class and plans to attend IUPUI to study animation. Her honoree is Mrs. Tanya Carlson, English teacher at Speedway Junior High School.
I'm short, shoes are too big. Let's lower this just a little bit because I'm a short person. Okay. And I forgot my, okay. Children called it Teacher's Encouragement to Light. I know it seems superstitious, but I believe that every person you come across throughout the course of your life is there to teach you something. And as soon as they leave, they've done their job. There are some that will never be done teaching you, never be done making a difference and a change in your life. Granted, it might just be a justification for the people that have left me in my life, but I truly believe that those that are meant to stay by your side will always be there and will always be there for you forever. And you'll never forget them. Growing up, I don't remember having many ambitions. All I knew was that I liked cartoons, I liked to draw, and I admired people that were smart. I was an aloof kid that went through life not paying much attention to the things that were happening around me. So it was a huge shock to my parents, or probably a huge shock, that I suddenly gained sentience. Ooh, sentience. And when better to start forming your own opinions than in middle school? We all just loved middle school. Sorry, the middle school flashbacks. Lo and behold, I was a quiet kid and thought that she was smarter than everyone else. Lo and behold, I was humbled when I didn't get into an advanced language arts class in 7th grade, and rightly so. I didn't deserve it. I really detested reading, and for me, opening a book was my own personal torture, a swirl of incoherent letters and signs that made zero sense. I never put effort into reading, always avoiding it like the plague. All my teachers had to put the effort in for me by placing me in special reading classes. It only made me feel laughable. All I wanted was to be smart, and I always tested below my reading level. Getting my schedule was a huge punch to the gut. My failures followed me, and I felt like my reading level. I vividly remember the feeling ashamed walking in Miss Carlson's classroom. All my friends had Miss Disney, and I felt dumb. I remember sneaking into her classroom, trying to avoid people seeing me. I took a note of the dimly lit room and the calm atmosphere as I awkwardly sat there waiting for the bell to ring. And then the bell rang, and a woman with dark hair, blonde streaks, and striking blue eyes walked to the front of the room, and she started to speak. At that moment, immense passion cascaded through the walls, filling the room with what could only be described as excitement and love. I felt at ease at the sight of her smile. From the words she spoke, you could tell she was confident, full of life, fun, impenetrable, smart, everything I wanted to be but wasn't. That was Miss Carlson. And what I loved about you most, that you genuinely cared for each and every one of us. You treated us with respect. You encouraged us to reach for the stars. You always did your best to tell us when we did great, while also keeping us in line. Your excitement was contagious, and eventually your classroom felt like home. I didn't know how to create a grammatically eloquent sentence, let alone an essay. I could barely even spell. By the time I entered 8th grade, I had learned more than I ever did in the 6 years I had spent trying to read. I had so many proud moments while she was my teacher. I never would have entered an essay into a competition and won without her support. By the end of the year, when we received our progress checks, I was one of 2 students in her class that reached a 12th grade comprehension reading level. And for a kid who had been tormented her entire life for a reading level that was always behind everyone else's, it's the best moment of my life. When I was in her class, I felt like I wasn't my reading level. I still have lots of obscure memories of Miss Carlson, from the time she used my writing as an example to the time we learned that her eyes weren't actually blue. Once she told a story about an angry parent that wanted to take their kid out of her class and how she stood up for her beliefs. There was also an occasion in which she let us hide in her classroom during a math class just to make a kid think that he had fallen asleep through school. It's pretty funny. I will never forget the windowsill lined with bears that stared into my soul every day. I'll never forget why her room was dimly lit or her smile, and I'll certainly never forget how she turned my life upside down. I went from a kid who had hoaxed her way through a book to reading every day, owning my own bookshelf, reading and rereading every word of a story because I wanted to. I found books I loved. I don't know who I would be if I never started reading. Miss Carlson, you're a role model to me. You've changed my life, and I will never forget you and what you've done for me. And in a full circle moment, this year I decided to share my love of books and my love for Miss Carlson by rereading A Child Called It, One Child's Courage to Survival, with my mother. We're reading it, she's reading in Spanish, I'm reading it in English, and like Miss Carlson did with me so many years ago, thank you for all the time we shared, thank you for being my teacher, and thank you for changing my life. I wholeheartedly appreciate it. I almost
Well, I'm about to say the opposite of what Carol just shared with you, because I remember having Carol in my 4th and 5th block as a 7th grader, and day one, I was so impressed with her work ethic, and she was definitely one of the best writers and readers that I had. So I'm contradicting what she just said, but, and this is actually what I wrote down. When grading 7th grade writing assignments, the teachers in here can probably know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about grading writing assignments. I have to keep reminding students that it's not a Snapchat, or it's not whatever you're using nowadays, Instagram. You have to capitalize the pronoun I. You have to write out the pronoun you. You can't just write the letter U. I would always save Carol's paper for last because her papers were perfect. And she made me feel like a good teacher. I would even tell my husband while I was grading papers, I'm like, this girl makes me feel like an amazing teacher because she listens, she knows how to use a semicolon, she knows how to punctuate correctly. It's kids like Carol, the reason I became a teacher. I knew I wanted to be a teacher when I was in the 2nd grade, and tonight just reminds me of why that was my dream. So I am so humbled and grateful that you've chosen me. Thank you.
Thank you for those heartfelt words, ladies. Our next student that we will be recognizing is Miss Sergey Lur. Sergey Lur is number 6 in her class and plans to study nursing also at IUPUI. Sergey Lur honoree is Senora Franklin Toon, Spanish teacher at Speedway High School.
Puedes hacerlo, Sergey. I started taking Spanish in 8th grade with an interest to learn another language. I didn't have you for my class my freshman year, but I was glad to have you for my sophomore, junior, and senior years. I didn't expect to be placed in your class 3 years in a row, but I'm proud to say I was. I always look forward to your class since it's always a different activity in class every day. After Spanish 3 sophomore year, I thought I would give up trying a new language since I heard it was only going to go downhill from there. While many of my friends decided not to enroll for Spanish 4, I decided to do it. You persuaded me to enroll, saying it was not going to be much of a big difference since I had learned most of the concepts in Spanish 3. Second semester of junior year with Spanish 4, I felt like I was very far behind. I didn't know all the vocabulary and I felt like giving up. Instead, I didn't. I pushed forward with it to finish strong because I believed that you believed in me since I've gotten this far. I thought that Spanish 4 would be my limit, but here I am in AP Spanish Ling for my final year of high school. I didn't realize how much reading comprehension there was, but you made sure we understood what was going on. You always called on non-Spanish speaking students to make sure we knew what was happening. Spanish class has also helped me develop friendships that I can count on. I'm able to go into class feeling like I can talk to anyone without feeling insecure about the language. You make sure to correct us gently if we use the wrong conjugations or pronunciations, and you don't embarrass us. I know it may be difficult for a teacher to avoid feeling frustrated when a student is not understanding something continuously, but I can see that you're able to stay calm and make jokes out of it. That's something I'll never forget. You have us talk to our peers most of the time to better our Spanish skills, but also we talk with friends. You have made me feel like I have always been a part of your class from day one. That's a trait everyone needs to know about you. You try to talk to everyone and enjoy small talks, which I know many students appreciate, including myself. I don't usually find myself keeping conversations with teachers, but you are able to get me to keep talking. Senora, you aren't only a teacher to me, you're also someone I can call a friend and mentor. I can talk to you if I have problems and you will understand. You connect with students in a way a mother would to her kids. Those are the type of teachers many students won't forget. You're that teacher for me. I remember just last semester when I broke down in the middle of your final exam and you came over to comfort me. You knew I could do it if I tried my best, and that's what I did. I was happy with how I ended my semester because I knew you believed in me. Because of you, I'm able to say I'm able to communicate and understand Spanish for real-world situations, but also to meet new friends, so I thank you. You may be a little shocked that I chose you as the teacher I wanted to honor, since I don't talk a lot in your class, and I struggle the most with the concepts of AP Spanish. I may not be able to speak fluently, but hopefully I can understand enough to help the future generations. I struggled the most in your class, and I deeply appreciate the trust you had in me to keep moving forward with taking this class. I would like to finish with a little quote for you. Tell me and I forget. Teach me and I remember. Involve me and I will learn. This quote is by Benjamin Franklin, and this matches perfectly with you since it is exactly what you did for me 3 years in a row. Gracias por todo, señora.
I am going to pull this down just a little bit. So I am proud to be Sergey's Spanish teacher, and it is true. I know I had to persuade her to continue taking the course, and her perseverance is phenomenal. I mean, if you came into my Spanish language and literature class, there's 27, and out of the 27, 24 of them are native Spanish speakers. So they're from all over the world, and they speak Spanish at home for the most part, all of them, and are obviously are fluent. And Sergey walked into that class the first day, and I'm sure her mouth dropped open and she was scared to death, and I actually was scared to death too. So it's been, I'm still scared sometimes when I go in there, but you just need to stop by sometime. But Sergey holds her own, and she's made, I really do, like she said, she's made some great friendships, and the students work so well with her, and she works well with them. She's not afraid to raise her hand and speak, and if I say to move with somebody different, she'll move over there and try to do the best that she can. And for a lot of people, that'd be very difficult to go into a room where nobody speaks the same language, and she's trying and keeping at it. And I'm really, really proud of her perseverance. And to me, that makes me want to be even a better teacher, just to continue to have more students that want to do that and that want to persevere like her. I know she wants to go into nursing, and the nursing is going to be wonderful for her. I would love to have a nurse like Sergey. If I'm ever in that and need that, she would be the one I'd want. And I think with her Spanish, she's going to be great for the community. And so I just thank Sergey for inviting me and trusting me, and I know she can do it. She's worried about the AP test, but I know she can do it, right?
The more I hear our students and teachers speak, I'm convinced that teaching is probably one of the most noblest professions on the planet. Thank you. Next, we have Michaela Grimes. Michaela is number 5 in her class and plans to attend Taylor University. She plans to study psychology with the medical Spanish concentration. Michaela's honoree tonight is Mr. Ryan Duffy, computer science teacher at Speedway High School.
A missing semicolon away. I have brought my duck tonight to help me work through this speech. Mr. Dunphy provides each one of us a duck to help us walk through our code when we get stuck. He always wants us to have something to turn to when he can't get around all of us, but my duck has helped me through much more than just missing semicolons. Not everyone has had the privilege of having Mr. Dunphy for class, but honorably, I can say I have. I will never forget my first encounter with him as just a wee little sophomore. It was my second day at the high school, and already I needed a schedule change. Fortunately enough, I was able to be switched out of a class that wasn't really my forte and into something new, and that was Mr. Dunphy's room. I walked up to him and I said, "Hello, I think I'm in your class now," to which he replied, "You think?" I was caught off guard by this witty statement, but figured out quickly that he was just kidding. If only I knew this moment would be the beginning of an off-guard friendship I never knew I needed. The class I was switched into was Prep for College and Careers. It was in this class where I learned what I actually wanted to do with my life. I went into that classroom having completely different dreams than what it was I had always imagined as a child. And it was in that very classroom that I discovered my dream of wanting to help people. I learned that maybe what I wanted to do with my life was actually become a psychologist. It all started there, but from that moment on, my passions have only grown into something much bigger than even myself. Without this class, I'm not sure if I ever would have realized how much of a passion I had for wanting to learn how to support those around me. Mr. Dunphy also helped me uncover my love for computer science and honestly regain a love for knowledge. I had never had an interest in computers before, but his teaching made me love it, and I always wanted more. I never realized how much I missed gaining knowledge until taking this unexpected class. Even though computer science to me was new, I quickly found joy in watching the screen come to life with the code I was able to create. It was both frustrating and enjoyable all at the same time. I knew that I would get it, and so did Mr. Dunphy, and that would make the accomplishment so much better. Mr. Dunphy not only became a big influence on my studies, but he rapidly became a growing influence on my life. Something I love about him is the care that he possesses about each one of his students. Each and every day, he continues to go out of his way to help his students, and I have been one of those students many of times. Mr. Dunphy's let me sit in his classroom for hours on end, describing the problems I'm having, and when I finally walk out that door, I feel as though I've been heard, I have been helped, and that he's given me a new perspective on things to set my mind at ease. Mr. Dunphy has helped me decide where I needed to go for college, finding a job, working on scholarships, listening to my never-ending schedule, and so much more. The list just always goes on. He's one of the only people in my entire life that I feel knows the true, genuine me. I continue to joke with him each and every day that I'm not sure what I'm going to do without him down the hall at college, because that is truly the impact he has had on my life. The bond I have grown with his teacher is indescribable and unlike most I've ever had before. Mr. Dunphy, I would like to thank you for being one of the biggest supporters in my life, for continuing to push me to do better, and most importantly, for making me feel as if I were one of your own. I know that you will always be there for me, and I'm really going to miss getting to be in your class 3 periods a day. I don't think I will ever be able to truly explain to you how much your constant presence in my life has meant to me. You have made a remarkable impact on my life, and I'm most certainly honored to get to call you my most influential teacher.
I have my own. So it's been fun having Michaela in class. It really was the second day of school, and she came in, and I remember her saying, "I think I'm in your class." And so I was like, okay, it's my second year in this school, and another new student popping in, it's no big deal. But then I saw some special stuff. And so I encouraged Michaela to take a computer science class. Why not? What do you have to lose? And then I watched how she would interact with other kids and mentor them. And I think there's a few kids that probably made it through the class because of her. And I watch now in Computer Science A, and it's the same thing. Other kids go to her because she's always working. She always wants to do the best. And it's because of that I'm grateful that she's been my student and my TA. Even the day that I was absent and she ran class for me, that was pretty special to know that could happen. So thank you.
Thank you, Michaela and Mr. Dunphy. We appreciate those kind words. Our next student is Miss Brianna Bailey. Brianna plans to attend Butler University, where she will study pharmacy. Brianna is number 4 in her class, and her honoree is Mr. Nick Beard, former social studies teacher at Speedway High School. Welcome.
Before I begin, I'd like to preface by explaining that at the beginning of every paragraph, I have a quote from a famous psychologist introduced in Mr. Beard's AP Psychology class my junior year. We learned about what makes people who they are in this present moment, and I can confidently say that without this class, I wouldn't be the same person I am today. Eric Erickson once said, "Life doesn't make any sense without interdependence. We need each other, and the sooner we learn that, the better for us all." I remember the day I met Mr. Beard. I was a timid 8th grader on the junior high track team trying to find where I belonged. I tried long distance, it was a no. I tried sprints, another no. So hurdles were obviously the next best option. I remember walking to the other side of the track, and with my heart pounding, I was holding on to this fear that it would be another failure, that I'd embarrass myself and have to find something else again. But when I reached the other side, I knew I was going to be okay based on the way Mr. Beard welcomed me onto the team as if I'd been there the whole time. All of my anxiety instantly melted away, and because of this encounter, I decided to come back the next day and the days, months, and track seasons after. The Hurdle Turtles, as we called ourselves, was a family whose culture was cultivated by the precedent Mr. Beard set as their coach. We had each other's backs, cheered for each other, and picked one another up when we fell. But behind all of this was Mr. Beard doing it first. I always admired his coaching style. He never yelled or raised his voice, but instead gave us thoughtful and constructive criticism to improve. And one by one, everyone began to beat personal records and cut off valuable seconds by focusing on the areas of improvement. To see the cause and effect of the leadership Mr. Beard used was so impactful to me. I think it's Mr. Beard's coaching style that influenced me to go into a career where I can lead a team with the same kindness, honesty, and compassion that he practiced with not only his athletes, but his students as well. According to Jean Piaget, the goal of education is not to increase the amount of knowledge, but to create the possibilities for a child to invent and discover, to create people who are capable of doing new things. Mr. Beard was a legendary teacher at Speedway High School, the one who the upperclassmen would always tell stories about and make the underclassmen jealous. Every day, I looked forward to 5th period, wondering what outlandish but true personal anecdote Mr. Beard would share to teach a concept in AP Psych. And soon it turned into my favorite class of all time. He made learning fun, and his classroom was always a place where kids felt like they could be themselves. Mr. Beard taught with a sense of authenticity, and kids could identify with that. He knew us all individually for who we were, and he would find something to relate to in every single one of us. He created a safe and open place for discussion, and without realizing it, Mr. Beard pushed us all to be more compassionate towards each other, inside and outside of the classroom. Carl Rogers remarks, "When I look at the world, I'm pessimistic, but when I look at people, I am optimistic." Something that I remember from AP Psych are cardinal traits. A cardinal trait is essentially a single personality trait that dominates over every other trait a person obtains. They're very rare, and because most people have many traits that make them who they are, but Mr. Beard definitely possesses the cardinal trait of liveliness, one that's characterized by an extreme sense of energy. Every single day, he bursted into the classroom and slammed the door behind him with excitement, which was a signal that class was about to begin. And he taught with this sort of energy, which made it hard not to pay attention. We never questioned the source of this energy because we knew that it was just who he was at his core. He found some sort of positivity and good in what seemed like the everyday mundane, and it gave me a sort of optimism. It made me hopeful to know that if I was going into a career because of passion and the end goal of making an impact, I would be happy, and Mr. Beard proved that to me. Mr. Beard loved teaching us, and it was obvious that the classroom is where he was meant to be, and I can only hope that one day people will see the same thing in me. Even though Mr. Beard left Speedway, I feel optimistic because I know that he will continue to make an impact on kids' lives, just as he did on mine and so many others. And like him, I will leave Speedway too and take with me all the lessons learned and people met and impacts made. But the most extraordinary thing I realized about Mr. Beard through writing this is that the things I remember most about him are not his interactions with me, but his interactions with others. And because I didn't get a thank you before you left, I thank you now for being the best coach, teacher, and role model that I could ask for. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Brianna. Thank you to the Lions Club and all the staff to help put this on. It was a really difficult decision to leave Speedway because kids like Brianna, kids like the ones who are here tonight that you've all done a great job raising, make this place so special. When I first met Brianna, it was just like that. She could not go over a hurdle. She was afraid to, but we just kept her coming back. Brianna, I promise you'll get this. I promise that you will be good at this. And she did, and she kept at it. Brianna is selfish. She would work with kids. Once she had what she was working on down, she would then teach the next generation, the freshmen. Then when she was a junior, she was in sophomores. And Brianna just did that, and she did it because she loved what she did. She loved running hurdles. She loved being a part of the team in the Hurdle Turtles. I finally had the privilege of teaching Brianna last year as an AP Psych, and it was just amazing because I'd had her as an athlete, and you see all the selfishness as an athlete, and then you have her in class, and she's sharp, she's on top of things, she's just one of those kids that's just ready to take on the world, and she's just so impressive from the time I met her, to now. So Brianna, you're going to go on to do great things. I have one daughter at home, I have one on the way, and if she grows up to be half as good a kid as you, I'm going to be very lucky, Brianna, so thank you.
A word that stood out in Brianna's presentation was impact. That impact continues to touch our students, even though Mr. Beard is no longer at Speedway. And we appreciate both of you. Thank you for those kind words. Our next student presenting their most influential educator is Mr. Manny Rouvacaba. Manny plans to attend IU University, Mr. Day, to study business. His honoree tonight is Mrs. Abby Hauk, science teacher at Speedway High School.
The student-teacher chemistry. I had the incredible opportunity of working with Ms. Hauk for 3 of my 4 years of high school. I moved from Chemistry 1 to AP Chemistry, and I was finally able to be her TA this year. I should start off by saying that I really don't like chemistry. If it wasn't required, I probably would have never taken it, but I'm so glad that I did. Having Ms. Hauk as an instructor has been an experience that I'm very grateful to have had. After I took Chemistry 1 my sophomore year, I had no interest in advancing on to AP Chemistry, if I'm being honest. However, Ms. Hauk strongly encouraged me, and she provided me and a few other students supplementary material to get a head start on AP Chemistry while still taking Chem 1. AP Chem was personally the hardest class that I took in high school. However, I can't imagine how much more difficult it would have been if it weren't for Ms. Hauk's incredible instruction. AP Chem could be very discouraging at times. It is not easy preparing for tests in which you know a reasonable goal is to get a 50%. I had no hope in passing the AP exam. I thought that it was going to be impossible. Despite this, and as time went by, I was able to push through, and in great part due to the great, stimulating classroom environment generated by Ms. Hauk. Going into room 247 for first period at 8 a.m. was often rough, but Ms. Hauk's vibrant energy made everything a whole lot easier, along with her ability to simplify such an elaborate subject. In the end, I passed AP Chemistry with a bare 3, but I passed, and it was all thanks to Ms. Hauk. As a student, the influence that Ms. Hauk had on me is beyond that of any other teacher that I've had. Before I took AP Chemistry, I was the type of student who could give limited effort in school and still have decent grades, just going through the motions. However, the experience of AP Chem changed me as a student for the better. Through Ms. Hauk's guidance, I was able to grow as a student, developing skills essential for college. I have learned that school may not always be easy, but there will be instructors along the way like Ms. Hauk who can turn the seemingly impossible into possible. I have learned that life is all about continual growth. Ms. Hauk was not hesitant to share with us her own experiences as a scholar, ultimately illustrating that part of growth is failure, something that can be commonly experienced in a course as rigorous as AP Chemistry. Her reassurance, authenticity, and uplifting nature helped me build my own self-assurance. These are just the impacts that Ms. Hauk has had on me personally. However, I am sure that over the years, she has left a similar mark on countless others. Ms. Hauk understands students like no other teacher that I've ever had. She comprehends the teenage mind and its deficiencies. She understands that no kid wants to go home and do schoolwork. So what does she do? She always attempts to maximize the utility of class time, so kids don't have to go home and do schoolwork that they'll probably cheat on anyway. She knows that very well, too. Beyond teaching, Ms. Hauk develops a personal tie with all students. She is someone that students can relate with. This personal connection facilitates the actual classwork. She is someone that you can turn to both as an adult role model, but also interact with like any other friend. Additionally, her generosity sets her apart. She provides anything she can to help students succeed and feel comfortable in her classroom, such as always having a drawer full of snacks for anyone. Her liveliness and benevolence is unparalleled. This year, Ms. Hauk has to take some time away from the classroom. Being able to see from a third-person perspective the way that her students pushed through that time, through all the difficulties, exemplified her effect beyond teaching. Her students did their best to persevere through that time for her. To me, that showed the incredible chemistry that she has with her students. I was also able to experience firsthand Ms. Hauk's commitment to the continuation of her students' education through online learning, not once, but twice. All of these experiences have left me no doubt of Ms. Hauk's persistent desire to make a difference in her students and help them reach their full potential. Ms. Hauk is an educator like none other, and it is all due to her selflessness. She is an inspiration and a prime example of goodwill. Thank you for everything, Ms. Hauk.
We live in a world of flashbang instant gratification, where that's prized and that's valued and expected. But the qualities that Manny possesses of quiet intelligence and diligent work towards really difficult, rigorous academic goals without cutthroat competition is really what our world needs. I always asked a second-year student of mine to be my teaching assistant. So if I say like, hey, go to the staff room, we're gonna set up for a titration, I need the burettes and some pH meters, all those words make sense if you've been in my room for 2 years. And I asked Manny to do it last year, and there was a hesitation initially at first. And he said, I think I need to think about it. And I was like, oh, okay. And I've spent this whole year pondering, like, why would he not want to be my TA? Like, come on. And I thought maybe it's because you have to wash dishes. Like, we have a lot of glassware that you have to take care of. And the more I've thought about it, I don't think it's the dishes at all. I think what it is Manny operates at such a high level of performance, it's never occurred to him to take a break. He wouldn't have an empty class in his schedule. He's going to maximize the potential of everything he possibly can. And with a little bit of leveraging from Jesus, I did get him to become my TA. So while I hope that I've taught him a little bit of chemistry over the past 2 years, I hope that I've also taught him the importance of rest and rejuvenation and working towards goals. I'm honored that someone of such intelligence and character thinks that I've had any part to play in their success. So thank you for this honor. And it's my brother that buys the snacks for my classroom, just to clarify. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Manny and Ms. Hauk. Appreciate those kind words. I wanted to make a clarification as well. I believe I called Brianna by her mom's name a second ago, so I apologize for that. But yes, I apologize, Brianna. Our next student that we are bringing to the podium is Miss Alex Hutching. Alex is number 2 in our class. She is the salutatorian, and she will be attending Purdue University, Fort Wayne, where she will study music production. Alex is recognizing Mr. Brian Passwater tonight as her most influential educator. Mr. Passwater teaches mathematics at the high school. Welcome.
Over the past couple of months, I have tried to write and rewrite this speech a couple hundred times, trying to write the perfect speech that explains exactly just how much of an impact and a difference my admired guest has made in my life. After quite a few attempts at writing this perfect masterpiece, I came to the realization that no matter how hard I try, this speech will never be perfect to me, because it will never do enough justice to show just how much of an impact Mr. Passwater has made in my life. So, even though this speech doesn't nearly give Mr. Passwater enough credit nor justice for everything he's done for me, I'm going to try to show you just how wonderful Mr. Passwater truly is. I have officially known Mr. Passwater for 2 years, but unofficially for 3 years. My older brother Jared worked with Mr. Passwater for AP Calculus during my sophomore year. Even though I wasn't one of his students yet, I was still able to see that Mr. Passwater was a kind person who seemed quite invested in his students. It wouldn't be until my junior year that I met the true Mr. Passwater that I'm honoring today. This year, I have truly come to understand just how amazing of a teacher and a person Mr. Passwater is. From day one, Mr. Passwater broke the typical barrier that seems to stand between students and their teachers, and he showed us he was just another human being that we could actually relate to and come to anytime we may need him. I quickly learned that Mr. Passwater was a math wizard, as he could do the most bogus of math problems in his own head, and he knows so many digits of pi by memory. I was awed by his math wizardry, as math has always been the most difficult subject for me in school. For most of my life, I've had the mindset of a musician and songwriter, telling myself that I don't need math to make music, and what could math possibly teach me about the real world? It wasn't until my senior year that I truly came to understand how important math really is. I challenged myself and not only took one, but 2 AP math classes in the same year, only because I knew that Mr. Passwater is a really good teacher, and if anybody could get me through these courses, it would be him. Through taking both AP Calculus and AP Statistics this year with Mr. Passwater, he has not only taught me how calculus and statistics work within the real world, but he has also taught me a lot of life lessons. Of course, he has taught me just how tricky and difficult it can be to navigate the waters of statistics and calculus. But through math, he has also taught me how not to fear the unknown as much as I used to, and how to trust in myself, even when I'm not completely sure of what the answer is or even how to exactly solve the problem. He has taught me that whether it's in math or it's in life, there are going to be problems. There are going to be moments where I don't necessarily know how to solve the problems, and I will want to question my ability and give up. Mr. Passwater has taught me how to face the unknown even though it can be terrifying, and to trust in myself even when I'm not sure of the answer. I mean, this is the same person that has an unsolved math problem tattooed on his arm that he's been trying to solve for years. He not only faces the unknown, he truly embraces it with open arms. He has also taught me that in math and in life, we don't have to solve every problem on our own. He has taught me that it's okay to not understand something and to ask for help. Through math, something I truly used to despise, he taught me that it's okay to be human. Through math, he has taught me so many important life lessons that I will carry with me forever, no matter where I go. Mr. Passwater has so many admirable qualities, but one of his most admirable qualities is that in his career and in everything he does, he goes above and beyond what is expected of him. This is a person that comes in early in the morning and stays late after school just to help students with homework and help those of us who are confused about certain math topics. He stays at school until the wee hours of the morning, not just to grade assignments and tests, but also to make plans for what he's going to teach for the next class. And he reflects on different ways to help us better understand the topics. He travels to AP conventions and clinics just so he can learn how to improve his teaching methods and to not only improve our chances of passing the exams, but also to provide us with a better understanding of how these courses apply to our journeys to the adult world. He is the person that I could text at midnight with a math question and he would answer the phone, not only because Mr. Passwater never really sleeps, but also because he is willing to help his students whenever he can, no matter what time it is. Mr. Passwater is not only invested in our academics, but he is also invested in our personal lives too. Mr. Passwater has frequently attended our school's theater productions and tennis matches to support myself and other students, and the fact that he took time out of his day to support us means the world to me. There have also been many occasions where I've stayed after school for multiple hours just to have daily conversations with Mr. Passwater. Sure, some of those times were spent getting help with math. But a lot of the time also consisted of Mr. Passwater giving me life advice, talking about music, as Mr. Passwater is one of the few people that actually listens to the same music as me. And we also have other random conversations depending on the day. Mr. Passwater is selfless, as no matter what he's going through, he's always put his students' needs first. He could be sick and not even able to get out of his bed, but instead of just focusing on taking care of himself, he would rather make sure that his students at school have everything they need to succeed. He could literally choose to do the bare minimum, but instead, he has chosen to invest everything in his students. He gives us his all, and he has never given up on us, not even for a second. When I didn't believe in myself and my capabilities, he never gave up on me. I couldn't have asked for a better teacher to walk into my life and to be my admired guest tonight at this Top 10 event. I have one final thought that I'd like to leave with you. It's more or less a memory that I have of Mr. Passwater, but it's an important one to me. There was one day where I stayed after school for one of our daily conversations, and we were discussing music from one of our favorite groups, the Beatles. I then asked him what his favorite Beatles song was, and he replied with the song, Yesterday. When I asked why this was his favorite song, he said, "It's simple. Its lyrics are simple, and yet Paul McCartney was able to touch so many souls and change the world by sharing such a simple message." His response has stuck with me, because in a way, this song reminds me of Mr. Passwater. Not in the fact that someone he loved left his life and went away, but the fact that the song is so simple, and yet it changed the world forever. Mr. Passwater didn't have to be Einstein or Isaac Newton or even Paul McCartney to change the world. He inspired me to face the unknown and to chase after my dreams. Now I see and do everything differently than I did yesterday. As the song states, I'm really not half the person I used to be because Mr. Passwater has made such an impact on my life and changed me forever. I will never be able to repay him for everything that he's done for me over these past 2 years, but I just want him to know that at least in my life, he changed the world. Thank you for everything, Mr. Passwater. I know the feeling may not be mutual, but you've truly made a massive impact on my life, and I'm forever grateful for that.
Man, I was about to make fun of you, Mr. Carter, earlier for crying, and I'm glad I didn't. I just realized I have all the top 10 students in my class this year and last year, and I'm afraid they're going to see me do something and hold it against me the rest of the school year. They're probably just waiting for me to say something awkward or inappropriate because they have me in class and they know it's coming. I should have written this down. So I'll remember what I was going to say. So I'm going to start by just telling Dr. Trebley and the school board something's wrong with this school. There's the awkward part. I'm not a morning person. I hate mornings. I never have been, and I picked the worst possible job in the world to be a person that hates mornings. But I email Dr. Trebley and Mr. Claiborne pretty much every single time we come back from any break and tell them how excited I am to come to school. Like I've never had a single day, not one, where I wasn't excited to come. And it literally is students like Alex that does it. I knew very early in my life that I wouldn't be able to make a big enough difference because I wasn't smart enough or I had the gifts to change the world. And so I knew the one thing I could do is teach, that I could work with students who can change the world for me. And Alex is that student. I've never in my life had a student work as hard as Alex does. And I have taught in several schools, and I work with the most talented students from coast to coast in my jobs that I've had. And I've never once had a student that has her passion, her drive, her willingness to put in whatever effort she needs to do. I know the world's gonna be better because Alex is gonna be doing great things. You know, she'll be in the music industry in Nashville, and I don't want to say she's wasting a beautiful mathematical mind, but she talks about not being great at math, and she tells me that often after school, and that's usually what the hours of conversations are around. You think she would learn her lesson to stop saying things like that, because she is an incredible mathematical student and an incredible all-around student. And nobody really sees what she does behind the scenes. She comes into my room and asks for extra work because she didn't quite master a topic. And she wants extra work, not for points, not for grades, but she knows that she wants to do more to really make sure she understands everything we learn. Like, that's weird. And speaking as a weird person, I can say that. You know, I think she exemplified when she said earlier she tried to write and rewrite her speech about 100 times. I don't think she was kidding. Like Alex puts in the work because she has such high expectations of herself. And those afternoon conversations are the highlight of my day. Talking to all my students and those in this room are the highlight of my day. I could not be more proud of Alex, and I'm humbled to even be standing up here. She says that I have influenced her, and she's not sure if the feeling is mutual, but students never know exactly how much they inspire their teachers. Like Mr. Clampett said earlier, she makes me want to be a better teacher. And part of my job is just to not screw it up, because I know she's going to be successful no matter what I do, but I don't want to let her down, because she will do whatever I ask her to do to get ready for whatever class we're taking. She, as a random note, is in 2 of my AP classes, but what she didn't share is she's actually in 3 of my AP classes. She has chosen to take the 1 25-minute free time we have in school each day and take on another AP Calculus BC course because, she's not a math person. But that's what she's doing. There's no grades in that class. There's no GPA points. There's no boost. It's just, there's no $100 for passing the AP exam. It's just, I'm going to spend 2 to 3 days a week in here doing more mathematics so I can take another AP exam so I can be more prepared for what comes after high school. So we see a lot in the news how the world's going in bad directions, how students are not what they used to be, but it's not. Alex and all of you in this room are just what makes me optimistic that you guys are going to fix what we screwed up. There's the inappropriate part. It's all in there. Thank you, Alex.
Thank you for those inspirational words. And last, but definitely not least, is the valedictorian of the class of 2022, Miss Lexi Fry. Lexi is currently undecided of what school she will attend in the fall, but plans to major in the STEM field. Lexi's honoree is Speedway math teacher, Mrs. Eileen Tepp. Come on up.
All right. It doesn't bode well that I'm needing tissues before I've even started. First, I would like to end the night's student-led thanks and appreciation for all of these wonderful teachers and educators present with one of my own. I think I can safely say that every student here tonight has been influenced by the energy and passion you all insist upon bringing into the classroom and our lives. Every single one of you refuses mediocrity. I've personally seen each of you put in more of your time and efforts than any other school combined. I thank you tonight on behalf of all of your students for loving them as much as they love you. To all of you, I leave one last parting reminder. Every day, we can see your drive and your energy, and we appreciate you for it. Now, I'm going to ignore Miss Davenport's growing panic, and I'm going to go off script a little. I've heard these speeches multiple times, and as the night's gone on and the nerves have gone up and I've regretted deciding to go last, these counterparts to these speeches and all of my peers, it's truly wonderful, and you guys have done it. And I just want to thank you all for being here tonight, and I'm glad you guys made Speedway what it is. It's not just trudging through high school and getting the diploma. It's something better. And thank you guys for it. All right, I'm done with Davenport. Yep, on script again. I've spent hours upon hours trying to find the perfect word to encompass Miss Tepp and her character. I've cycled through all of the possibilities: helpful, enlightening, magnificent, amazing. After much deliberation, I finally reached a conclusion. There are no words, none to describe her compassion in life. There are definitely no words to even start to explain the place she holds in mine. Throughout my years of high school, I've witnessed Miss Tepp become the mom many of her students never had. She creates this unique and collaborative learning environment effortlessly. Ms. Tepp is truly one of the most honest and genuine people I've ever met, and I'm honored to say I know her. She's been with me through it all. My freshman year and sophomore classes, struggling through AP Physics, waiting for my college acceptance or rejection letters, and the drama of high school. After all of these years, we have a friendship that goes beyond anything else. We have the same amount of sass and sarcasm, definitely enough to go around. Just like most friendships, we have the great times and the not so great times. Together, we suffer through our weekly case of the Mondays and set the same countdown to sleep every day. As we pass by each other in hallways from class to class, I've truly realized that we have mastered an unseen form of communication. A nod and a quirk of the lip speaks 1,000 words. I know a room situation with a dart of the eyes. An interesting conversation I should listen to is dignified with a seemingly unrelated gesture. Recently, I've started joking that with my senior rights and ties with Ms. Tepp, I've successfully infiltrated the staff and faculty inner circles. I've had friends complain that I've always known when things happen at school, yet never share. My reply is always with a devious smile, I know how to keep a secret. Ms. Tepp is there for me through thick and thin, and it's a privilege to spend time with her. After all this time, pretty much being in her back pocket, we know each other very well. The years have revealed quite a few things, the first being that we are not a good team for escape rooms. They illuminated a mutual love of milkshakes and fries. She's seen my amazing navigational skills firsthand as we traversed an impossible corn maze. She was right next to me when I received my first acceptance letter. She's always willing to be my emergency reference letter that just happens to be due by midnight the same day, a situation that may or may not have happened multiple times. She was the first person I texted when my college interviews were over. Just as she's been there for me, I've seen her through the lemons life catapulted at her head. I was there when Yoda, the adorable and energetic Chihuahua, passed, just as I was there when Megan, her eldest daughter, wanted to move out of the dorms and started the hunt for an on-campus apartment. I was one of the first to be shown her plans for a new puppy, now known as Milo. All of the cookies and sweets I've consumed in the last 2 years of my life have been split with Ms. Tepp. We even spent this past summer together, all of our hard work landing us the 16th spot at Marching Band State Fair, just as AJ said. As the announcer's voice echoed across the dirt field, we were huddled together. As the list dwindled, and finally we were called for the most prestigious position Speedway has ever achieved, it was her shoulder my first tears of joy fell on. We've been through some tumultuous times, yet have come out on top better friends and always laughing. I own a worn-out and well-loved sweatshirt, one that exclaims, "Take me, Hurricane, I'm ready." I've only met a handful of people that understand the reference to the Golden Girls. I've elected to mention this iconic sweatshirt because it was with me to see Ms. Tepp's compassion and serves as a very humorous yet telling motto of our relationship. Together, we are stronger than whatever life throws at us. I wanted to honor Ms. Tepp tonight, not because of her academic influence, though it was great, but because she has become one of my best friends. So I just want to say something to my forever friend and my Golden Girl. If you threw a party and you invited everyone you knew, you'd see that the biggest gift would be from me, with a card attached that says, "Thank you for being a friend. Your heart is true, and you're a pal and my confidant. With everything we've seen together, I know you'll have no problem staying golden." I'm going to take some for the road, don't mind.
Probably Lexi should tell you about this, or maybe her mom. I wondered, I kind of knew when Ms. Davenport told me that I was going to be honored by somebody who it was going to be, and I thought, there's no way I'm worthy of this. I don't teach AP, I don't teach a difficult class necessarily. Why me? Yeah, I can see. Peggy, her mom, told me a long time ago when I had her sister in class, just wait till you get Lexi. Lexi's something special. Yeah, she is. Lexi is probably, you intimidated me. You're one of the brightest kids I've ever had. You do great, no problems, but you're also one of the most real. You became my friend because you are real. This duct tape came from this year. She came into my room, she's like, Tepp, do you have some tape? I need to fix my shoe. So her Converse were kind of coming apart. Like, yeah, I have some, no problem. I look over and I'm teaching a class. There's Lexi with her foot up on my desk, pulling out the duct tape and wrapping her shoe in duct tape. And she came back the next day and she goes, yeah, this didn't work enough, I need some more. So once again, she's wrapping her shoe. Then she came back for the water bottle because the water bottle's handle had also broken. And then right before Christmas, she came and she goes, my mom thinks that they're gonna think I'm a derelict because I don't have good shoes. That describes Lexi. Lexi is humble. You're one of the smartest, like I said, students I've ever had, but you never show it. You're just there. You come down to the duct tape level of duct taping your shoe.
Those shoes still work.
And she still walks the halls of Speedway wearing her duct tape shoes. And I absolutely cannot wait to see if she gets into those Ivy League schools and where she ends up. She was so nervous about her Ivy League interviews, and I said, you know what? Show them who you are, because the duct tape shoe girl is who you are. And she texted me after the first one and went, it went really well, they liked me. I did exactly what you said. Yeah, you did. And I really, really hope you don't forget those of us that are here, and still, I know you say you won't come back, but I am gonna miss seeing you walk through the halls and hope you'll come back with you and your duct taped shoes in the future.
You've heard a constant theme throughout each of these speeches tonight, and I believe that theme has been relationships. Speedway prides itself on establishing relationships with each and every student that enter our corridors. An evening like this always reminds me of where we are as a school family. As I close, I want to leave you with a quote from Dr. James Comer, who said, no significant learning occurs without significant relationships. And I think tonight epitomizes those relationships our teachers and students have established over the past 4 years or past school. We have elementary teachers, we have junior high school teachers, we have high school teachers. And I think this is a testament to what everyone does when they come in our building every day, not to just teach the content, but to make sure that they are building relationships with the students that they are teaching. And for that, I want to say, we appreciate you. We thank you for coming this evening. To our parents, thank you for raising such wonderful children. To our teachers, thank you for everything that you do. And to this community and to our students, continue to go forward, put your best foot forward, and continue to give back to this world.